G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in up on the west side of the map, we've got Beastyqt here who's playing the Chinese, and his opponent who spawns on the opposite side of the map, Ace Solid, playing the Red Mongols. Now this, my friends, is a build order breakdown. We are going to be looking at Beastyqt's Chinese and seeing exactly what he gets up to, try and understand exactly, how it is that Beasty achieves some of the most consistent Chinese results that there is to date. So let's take a look at his opening. The map, of course, is Altai, a little bit of an interesting spawn we've got here. Ace Solid already going to be coming out here, finding down the scout. Now, interesting to note, Beasty did not open up with a second scout on this map, despite playing up against the Mongols. So he's gone directly, opening up with an Imperial official, and then straight into villager production. So you can see that down here. Now, interesting to note, he's gone with a mill, and he's put this in a really, for me, it's a bit of a curious spot. So one of the things to note is that typically as the Chinese, you're going to be using the beginning or the early stages of the game to be gathering up all of those taxes and bringing them back in with the Imperial official. Now he's up at 19 at the moment on this mill. And ideally, I mean, when you think about it from a theoretical standpoint, you're going to want that as close to the town center as possible. That's why you see some players actually put their mill on their wood line, just simply because it keeps the Imperial official close to the lumber camp, so it's closer to them both, so it's much easier for it to do runs, because then it's just dropping off to this part right here, just drops off like that. But he hasn't opted to do that, so he's gone for 7 on food. Obviously the Imperial official first, so 6 on food, and then the Imperial official, 7th villager onto food. And now I've got 3 on wood. So I got the lumber camp, got the house going up behind here, and doing a pretty decent job so far of bringing in the sheep. He has used the Imperial official to come back in and drop off 20 of the gold. Now, one of the things to note is whether he's going to be looking to do force drops or not, and you can see he's actually not. So what am I talking about? So before you move your Imperial official back to the town center with its drop off, one of the things you can do is grab your 7 villagers and actually task them to drop off. That way you're maximizing the bonus that you get from your Imperial official. But one of the things to note is that when you do this, okay, typically what's going to happen is you're going to select all of them. You're going to tell them to go to the mill, and then you're going to tell them to come back to the sheep. That's going to be walking time. They're going to be bumping into each other. They'll be walking around, the other sheep that are out here. And it just works out to not be a very effective, not a particularly effective... Was that a scout that just came in? That looked like a... Wait, does the scout... I didn't know the scout can do a scouting falcon. Do they? Is this new? When did the scout get the ability to do the scouting falcon for the Mongols? Oh my lord, look at this. They can all do it. Am I crazy? I've never seen that before. Every single scout can do that? Wild. Okay, still learning things. I've been playing this game now for what, 3 months, 4 months now, and I'm still learning things. I did not know that Mongol scouts can do the scouting falcon. But yeah, so typically that's why you won't see players actually do that force drop, just because it actually hurts you. And it's just more effective just to let your villagers do their thing. But speaking of doing their thing, so we now see that Beasty is up to 7 villagers out here over on his wood line. He's got out a 2nd Imperial official now. 8 villagers going to be out over here, so he's moving 3 villagers on the forward. Now, I do know that this is his mill up front, that he's using these villagers, and now he's going to be making a 2nd house. So dropping down the Barbican of the Sun, looking to get that one up nice and early. Now, he knows his enemy's gone for scouts, so it can be a little bit dangerous, but one of the things to note, obviously, scouts have been nerfed significantly in the most recent patch, so I don't think he's going to be particularly worried about it. Now he's going to be working on bringing in the money that is being made from his respective lumber camp and his mill nice and early. And we've got a bit of harassment coming in, but once again, it's important to note that these guys have been nerfed in the most recent patch, so all he's going to need to do actually brings out a few more villagers at this point, and tries to get that one to go back to safety, and indeed he does. Actually opts for an early barracks here. So with this barracks, going to be looking to put down a little bit of a defense. One of the good things about this is that in the event he does actually go through with it, he's now switched it up to a stable, is that he's going to be able to use it in the 3rd age as well once he gets up there for those Imperial officials, rather, palace guards. But it looks like he switched it out now, so cancelled it, gone for a stable, and now you can see the mining camp going down. So One of the things to note is that obviously he's playing up against the Mongols. He's very cognizant of building placement here, because if one building gets placed where it shouldn't be placed, well, you're going to have issues. And so he's got a very accessible stone outcropping up here, just to the north. Now, if we take a look, you can see that it's somewhat in a pretty decent position here, relatively safe. But despite that, he's opted to go for this stone cropping out the front of his Barbican, just simply because he knows that the Barbican is going to be able to protect this mining camp, whereas this mining camp, not so much. So it makes a lot of sense for him to do that. Now, looking to bring out a lot of villagers out to the front. He's got 3 on stone at the moment. We'll look to see whether he moves the rest of those 3 out, or whether he's actually going for a bit of a forward. Do we have outpost rushes happening right now? Potentially. That's what we could be seeing. So this, keep in mind, we're doing a build order breakdown. We're trying to understand what he's going to be up to, what he's achieving. Imperial Official, the second one, is now supervising the initial stable. Those villagers continuing to move forward. Beasty heading, I'm curious to see where he actually looks to head. First outpost going to come down over on the backside of the wood line. Now, obviously, the town center is here, going to be able to provide that cover fire. If we have a look from the town center's perspective, it does have line of sight, but that's only because, I suspect, because these scouts are here. He's going to be in a bit of a difficult spot if Beasty does make his way down towards this position, but the majority of the resources here for his opponent are pretty safe underneath the town center, but still these outposts can do a lot of work if they get in at the right spot. But we'll have to see. Beasty now actually going to be doing hand cannon slits on these bad boys as well, and this is where it starts to get crazy. We actually see him walling in on the other side of the base of his opponent. So this is, in my opinion, this is next level stuff. I don't think I've ever seen this. We've got a Chinese player walling in a Mongol player this early in the game, and now it looks like Beasty trying to take a little bit advantage of the fact that he's got just a little bit of a rank sort of overreach. I don't know exactly what the term is, but he's got a slightly higher rank than his opponent, I guess is the nice way to put it. But we'll have a look behind this and see exactly what he's doing. So he's got the second lumber camp that's gone down. Still nothing back here. Now, keep in mind that the interesting thing about this is that if you were watching this from the sideline, like what Beasty's doing, and you didn't see what was happening up the front, and you were looking at the resources, you would expect he's probably going for a second town center. And that's because it macros so easy for that second town center. If he wants to switch into a bit more of an economic playstyle, he's going to be able to do that. Already you can see that he is putting up a huge front line here. 3 villagers up the front. He's got the outpost that's out. And now it looks like on the back line, Khan going to be doing a bit of scouting out. Does spot the villager here. Blacksmith on the back line. This is a curious decision. Is he looking to potentially get steeled arrows here? I'm wondering if that is actually going to affect it, but got to be careful here, my friend A Solid. Your Khan is in a bit of an awkward position. We see the villagers turning around, looking to get some stabs onto the Khan. Not going to have a lot of luck as the Khan does get chased away. 7 health left on that bad boy. But now you can see those villagers looking to get cleaned up. A lot of spears down here as well. That Mongol bonus really coming in, and they're going to be able to seek refuge in these outposts, and everybody gets inside. It's nice and cramped inside there. A lot of units beginning to come out for for A Solid, but Beasty still in a great position, bringing up more forward villagers at this point in time. Still no second town center dropped, but you can see he has begun to transition a lot of villagers over to wood. So whether that means he wants to focus on dropping down more towers, or whether he really wants to start thinking about adding in that second town center, it's always going to be an option for him. But it's such an interesting strategy to see the way that he's playing up against the Mongols. And you can see right now that he's actually got his outpost firing down on these villagers, and the villagers continuing to take damage. And look how much damage they actually do. It gets 2 shot by a hand cannon, because these hand cannons do 25 damage a pop. So if you're not paying attention, boom. Look at that. Absolutely ludicrous. Villagers going to be running inside that outpost right now, managing to stay alive. And Beasty going to be heading back and is indeed getting this upgrade. He's getting the health upgrade, the fortify outpost coming in now. All of these guys, all these villagers, he needs to be careful here, because that's a lot of units coming out now. So ideally needs to be falling back towards those outposts and looking to secure it. I think that's exactly what he's looking to do here. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got a little cheeky Beastyqt pop and then a heal. And then he's going to just individually micro those villagers, get them back in, and he's going to pop them back out. But one thing to note, I think the Mongol actually might get that might get that bounty buff each time you do that. So one of those things to be very careful of against the Mongols. 1 villager going down, 2 villagers going down, 3 villagers going down there. Only 2 villagers remain right now for Beasty, so not the best survival rates right there. You don't want to be one of Beasty's villies. It's not a particularly nice place to be, but we can see just how strong that fortified outpost is on this front line. And now it looks like a battering ram finally going to be coming through for a solid. That is the correct decision in this situation. And back at home for Beasty, you can see that he's actually stopped at 354 stone. So to me, that indicates probably he's going to do one more hand cannon upgrade, and then from there potentially look to drop down that TC. But we'll have to play it by ear. We'll see how we go, because there's a lot of units coming out for his opponent at this point in time. And from Beasty's perspective, I'm a little bit worried, just because this battering ram came out a little bit earlier than what you'd typically expect. The outpost going to continue focusing down those units. You can see if we highlight there just how much damage they're going to begin doing. But we're going to have a look back towards Beasty, see exactly what he's got going on behind. Indeed, we do have steeled arrows coming in. He does have the archery range out. No dynasty coming out for him just yet, but is going into full archer spam at this point in time. And he's looking to fortify this outpost, so has gathered up a fair bit of resources. Going to leave that battering ram back there just to try and take down the remaining the remaining outposts that's there. But now we've got the archers beginning to push up, and keep in mind, this is where it really pays. It's so important to micro your Imperial officials. We see the archery range coming out, and he is pumping out these archers non-stop. So he is making sure he's got a huge amount of these. Also got these initial scouts that he began to train in the early game, and rather horsemen, and is now looking to siege down the battering ram, and at the same time, villagers going to be healing up that outpost, and he's going to be absolutely fine. Also walls off on the front as well, so able to shut down that attack. And keep in mind, still going this whole time. I want to do a little bit of a stock take. So Beasty's on 37 villagers at the moment. His opponent only on 27. He's had to completely walk off this wood line. Now, I would note that he's got line of sight over on this gold mine here, but unfortunately yet to be able to reach it. I think the town center is going to provide pretty effective coverage against that. But Mongol Khan going to be moving in, Scout going to be coming in as well, and it definitely seems like Beasty's opponent is looking to find out a bit more information. But unfortunately, the Barbican going to get garrisoned and going to be able to take out that Khan before any real information gets transferred back to the original player, the OP, the Ace Solid. But now we've got ourselves just a little bit of a... This is the problem, because this is an Age 1 military force that Beasty is going up against, and he's going to be able to shred through it with these archers. Archers will defeat everything available to you in Age 1, except if you're playing the English, I guess. Maybe then it's a different story. But we'll continue watching and see exactly what he does. So keep in mind, Steeled Arrow has come through. He's also got +1 ranged armor, and now Beasty looking to put on the hurt towards his opponent, and he's always going to be able to fall back towards these outposts. So very smart move by Beasty for going for this. Now, one thing to note is that his outposts actually do 26 damage now, because he got the +1 upgrade. So increases it from 25 to 26. So if your enemy gets the +1 range upgrade, you get +1 attack, you're still going to be able to two-shot them. So do not worry about that, poor villies. Now the villagers going to be moving up towards that battering ram. Second battering ram also coming out for Beasty at this point. Really not thinking about that second town center at all. Quite happy just sticking it out on the one town center at the moment. Looking to get in the wheelbarrow as well. And so Beasty at this point looking incredibly fierce, and you really got to start wondering, you know, from the perspective of his opponent, what can he really do? I'm thinking probably an archer mass is the best thing he could do, but he's actually gone down the horseman route. He's got the +1 defense, so these guys have got +3. He's going to be able to clean this up relatively well, I would suspect, as we see those archers doing their best to try and micro out. We'll switch the perspective just to watch the health pools on these guys. Not going to have a lot of luck, as it takes 3 shots to actually take these down. Villager's going to be coming out. Managed to take out 1 ram. He loses 2 villagers, 3 villagers, 4 villagers for it. So quite a costly loss right there. But this is the thing. Ace Solid is going to have so much trouble running back towards this, because Beasty just manages to get behind his wall, and he's absolutely fine. And so this is such a huge threat on maps like this. So it really comes back to this being Altai. If you look from Beasty's perspective, he hasn't even explored the map. He doesn't even care. He is just absolutely running it down mid at this point. He's only searched, you know, briefly around his opponent's base, briefly around his own base, and that is it. All the extremities of this map have yet to be exposed, and sometimes people will say that's a good thing. But Beasty now going to be clicking up to the next age, under a little bit of attack here on the Imperial Official. No animation cancelling on this patch, my friend. So you're going to be absolutely fine, Imperial Official. You keep doing you. And now that astronomical clock tower going to be coming down. Now keep in mind, Beasty not going to be able to supervise this bad boy anymore. The new patch means that you can no longer supervise that. But I'm curious to see what Beasty's reaction is going to be once he, or not Beasty's reaction, but Beasty's game plan once he gets into the third age and what his approach is going to be. Because looking at the way that he's playing it so far, you can see that the scores are still very close to each other, only 100 off each other. It looks like his opponent, A Solid, wants to get up to the next stage as well. He's gathered up a fair bit of gold at this point. Doesn't have a lot of military out, so to me that indicates that he kind of wants to hit the third age. And now A Solid going to be going up against age 3 play as an age 2 player, and that's never something you want to be doing. But we'll take a look at the astronomical clock tower. A lot of wood stacked up here for Beasty. So we'll see whether he looks for upgrades, whether he goes for armored units. It looks like he's going to be sticking it with the archers. No upgrade coming through just yet. But I absolutely love these outposts from him. Very smart play from Beasty. Yeah, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with Beasty, I'm going to leave a link in the description over towards his YouTube, because he does content for Age of Empires 4 all the time. He's an ex-StarCraft pro. He's come over here. He's full-time Age of Empires 4 at the moment. At least I think he is. And so make sure you guys check him out. But let's talk a little bit more about what he's doing. So right now, he's got the age advantage, which means that if he wants to go into veteran bows with +2, he's going to be able to do that. And there's not going to be anything that age 2 Mongols can do to beat that. So he's really forcing the issue here with his rams. And by doing this, it sort of keeps his opponent in that in the second age. So it's a smart move from Beasty to be doing this, to be constantly sending these battering rams in, because you're kind of forcing your opponent to be making units. If we take a look from his perspective, you can see that he's got a lot of resources in the bank, but he's actually got units coming out. So he's got some archers coming out with this. So he feels sort of like... The problem is, from Ace's perspective, is that he wants to age up to the third age, but he knows that if he does, he's probably going to die. And that's what Beasty's doing with it. So really forces the issue. Still no veterancy coming through for these archers. Now it's coming through. You can see the Imperial Official on that one as well. The veteran archers now coming through. And this is where he's really going to be able to push that advantage that he's got. Also going to be looking to get sprinkled in placements. This is pretty dirty right now from Beasty, as he continues to push forward with outposts, battering rams, and archers. And really, at this point, you've got to be wondering, you know, what do you even do to counter this? Well, I mean, you could probably kill villagers. That's definitely one way to do it, but that archer mass is going to continue to build. If anything goes wrong, you can always get inside them. Speaking of going wrong, it looks like up towards the north, Beasty going to be under a little bit of a raid. Immediately responds to it. Going to be running back. Does he have textiles? Let's check. Doesn't actually have his textile upgrade at this point. But still, that town center of his opponent is a bit more of an issue for him to worry about than this little bit of a raid up towards the north. And now Beasty continuing to posture. Another outpost going to be going up. And a nest of bees has arrived. And that is going to be the nail in the coffin for this. You can see Beasty just absolutely knows what he needs to do to win this game. Beautiful build order right there. Absolutely stunning stuff from him. Fellas, once again, I'm going to leave a link in the description over towards Beasty's YouTube page. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you go say good day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.